Today I want to show you how to create a horizontal balance line at hip level when you're fitting pants that's a lot more useful than one that's parallel to the floor. In front of me I have two back legs, and I drew the vertical balance line and then I drew a horizontal balance line at hip level, and you can see here this looks nice and square, and you would think that this would be a super helpful line to have on your pants when you're fitting your pants. But if you're using your horizontal balance lines to tell whether or not you need to add or remove vertical length either above or below the crotch, this horizontal balance line is really not going to help you. When I'm drafting a pattern and I want to make sure everything is square, these are the lines I need. But for fitting, not so much. So let me show you why in a really quick demonstration what happens to this horizontal balance line when you sew up your pants muslin. If I take these two pieces and I line them up at the crotch as if I had sewn my center back seam, and just to kind of give you a visual here, that would mean, we would sew, the crotch. When the crotch is sewn up, look what happens to our horizontal balance lines. Are they horizontal? No, they're not. They're creating a V. Now, why are they creating a V? They're creating a V because while this horizontal balance line is perpendicular or at a 90-degree angle to the vertical grain line, it's not running perpendicular to the angle of the center back seam. Now, in previous videos, I have shown that you could actually create a horizontal balance line that looks straight when you put your muslin on if you draw it parallel to the waist. So I just want to show you what that will look like, and I'm going to use a little bit of a different color here. So if I were to draw, let's say I'm measuring down, I don't know, for this small pattern, I'm going to measure 1.5 inches down on both sides, like this, and then I'm going to connect it. Okay, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to measure 1.5 inches down on both sides, and then I'm going to connect that line as well. Now when I put these two together, as if I were to sew them, you can see what's happening is it's mirroring the shape of the waist. And when you put this on your body, this will look straight compared to the arc around your back waist, because it's the same distance all the way. And you can tell if, let's say, the center back is dipping down, this will dip down. So you can use this line to get a better idea of what the horizontal balance is at the full hip. But let me show you a better way. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I am going to mark the distance at which my fullest hip is. So I'm going to say that my fullest hip is right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my ruler across the back leg so that it's perpendicular to the center back seam. Now, if I'm working with a center back seam that's got a significant angle, what is that creating? A larger dart. So that's going to create a very angled line. So you can see how that looks. And then I'm just going to recreate the same depth at full hip here. And I'm going to go ahead and put this at the same angle. So it's perpendicular to the center back edge. And if I put my ruler right here, you can see that that is in fact a 90-degree angle here. And that's what I'm talking about in terms of, creating lines that are perpendicular or at a 90-degree angle from center back. So now when I put these together, look what happens. I am getting a straight line across the hip. Now, is it an equal distance from the waist? No, it is not, but it is in fact straight. So that's going to tell you that if it's drooping or if it's pulling up, whether or not you need to add or remove vertical length, this would work pretty well. So I just want to show you a pattern that has a flatter behind. I'm going to go ahead and use the same full hip level. So I'm just using the same measurement from the waist. And then I'm going to draw myself a line like that. And again, I'm going to reproduce it over here. So I'm going to make sure it's the same. And I'm going to draw myself a line that's 90 degrees from the center back. And let's put those together. Okay, so you can see that this line here at full hip is going to be parallel to the floor now. Keep in mind, it's going to be lower on the side seam than it is at center back. And the extent to which it's going to be lower depends on how angled that center back seam is. So the more angled the center back seam is, the more of an angle that horizontal balance line is going to be, but it will be straight across. So you have a choice when you're fitting your pants and you're drawing your balance line at the full hip. Either do it so you're lining it up parallel to the waist, and then you'll have a curved line that mirrors the shape of the top of the waistline, or you can draw your lines perpendicular or at a 90-degree angle from the center back, and then you'll have it come straight across. And I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to line it up here so it matches there, and then I'm going to draw a horizontal line like this. So I'm lining up with my center front like that. So when you put them together, let me just do the other one. Okay, so in the front you would have this, and I'm just going to tape it together here. And then in the back you would have, so I'm going to just tape this together. Okay, so you can see, and then if I were, let me just put a piece of tape here too. If I were to tape these together right here, you can see we now end up with almost a completely straight line going all the way around the body. And if you think about how your body is shaped, this is kind of a better representation of, you know, what that horizontal balance line on your pattern should look like. And then just for fun, let's go ahead and let me see if I can just tape these together like this. I want to see if I can make like a 3D version here. So I'm just going to go ahead and tape everything together. You know, and then if I were to, you know, connect them down here, you can see that's giving me a pretty interesting front horizontal balance line and back horizontal balance line. And everything matches if you're looking at it, you know, from the sides and, you know, all the different angles. It's kind of cool, and I feel like this gives us a little bit different of a perspective in terms of using that balance line at the full hip to fit your pants, because it should be running straight across your body, and depending on how you draw it, it's either going to be, agreeing with the shape of the waist, or it's going to be going straight across and dipping down at the side seams. So you can use either one of these versions to fit your pants. I think the option of using the angle of the center back seam as the start point for connecting the full hip at the side seam is going to give you, a really interesting way to look at your grain line. I think this is just another fun way to look at how you can draw a horizontal balance line at the full hip and have it truly run straight around your body from center back. So wherever that line hits center back, it's going to go straight around your body parallel to the floor, and that'll give you information about what's going on above and then what's going on below. And if that line is not straight, you'll know where you need to lengthen or shorten the pattern vertically. I got a question from a subscriber about how to determine the horizontal balance line if the top of the pattern or the waistline of the pattern had a curve. So for example, let's say my back waist, kind of had a curve to it like this. Like let's say it did something like this. Okay, you can see that even, if your top of your waist is not 100% straight, you can still do it this way and get all the same information. Now, if you have a curved waistline, and I'm going to bring back my other example here. All right, so if you want to go with the method of mirroring the shape of your waistline, and let's say your waistline looks like this. So you can see it's got a little bit of a curve to it. Another option is you could measure the same amount across the whole width of the leg to get that guide. So I'm going to use an inch here, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dash in an inch all the way across. Okay, as you can see, I'm creating a line or a curve now that will also be parallel to the waist now that it's curved. So see the difference between just making a straight line? I'm making a shaped line. Okay, so whether you measure the same here and here, if it's straight, and then draw a straight line, or just measure down across the whole, back leg, and then when you tape it together, and then when you put them together, you can see that this line, this red line or maroon line, is mirroring what's going on at the waist. Okay, so if your eye likes to look at that kind of guideline for horizontal balance line at full hip, you can do it that way. So I just wanted to explain a few different things about the horizontal balance line at the full hip and why, if it's parallel to the floor, perpendicular to the vertical balance line, it's going to create a V shape, and then how you could make it into a straight line. So you can either make it a straight line by drawing it perpendicular to the angle of the center back seam, or you can draw it so it's an equal distance from the waistline all the way across the back leg to get this look. So either go with this, or you can go with this. Both of these methods work great, and I think it really just depends on, what your eye likes to look at. So I hope you enjoyed this fun little look at the horizontal balance line at the full hip. If you have any questions or comments, please post those below and I will help you. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying my content, please consider liking and subscribing to my channel because it helps me grow. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for watching.